you start talking about who the Mongols were, I try to make a distinction. They're not some really super special people. They're just the latest confederacy in an area that saw nomadic confederacies going back to the beginning of recorded history. The Scythians, the Sarmatians, the Avars, the Huns, the Magyars. I mean, these are all the nomadic, the nomads of the Eurasian steppe were huge players in the history of the world until gunpowder nullified their traditional weapon system, which I've been fascinated with because their traditional weapon system is not one you could copy. Because you were talking about being the greatest warriors you could be. Every warrior society I've ever seen values that. What the nomads had of the Eurasian steppe was this relationship between human beings and animals that changed the equation. It was how they rode horses. And societies like the Byzantines, which would form one flank of the steppe, and then all the way on the other side you had China, and below that you had Persia. These societies would all attempt to create mounted horsemen who used archery. And they did a good job, but they were never the equals of the nomads because those people were literally raised in the saddle. They compared them to centaurs. The Comanches, great example, considered to be the best horse riding warriors in North America. The Comanches, I always loved watching, there's paintings. George Catlin, the famous painter who painted the Comanches, illustrated it, but the Mongols and the Scythians and the Avars and all these people did it too, where they would shoot from underneath the horse's neck, hiding behind the horse the whole way. You look at a picture of somebody doing that, and it's insane. This is what the Byzantines couldn't do, and the Chinese couldn't do. And it was a different level of harnessing a human-animal relationship that gave them a military advantage that could not be copied, right? It could be emulated, but they were never as good, right? That's why they always hired these people. They hired mercenaries from these areas because they were incomparable, right? So the combination of people who were shooting bows and arrows from the time they were toddlers, who were riding from the time they were toddlers, who rode all the time. I mean, the Huns were bow-legged, the Romans said, because they were never out. They ate, slept, everything in the saddle. That creates something that is difficult to copy. And it gave them a military advantage. I enjoy reading actually about when that military advantage ended. So 17th and 18th century, when the Chinese on one flank and the Russians on the other are beginning to use firearms and stuff to break this military power of these various Khans. The Mongols were simply the most dominating and most successful of the confederacies, but if you break it down, they really formed the nucleus at the top of the pyramid, of the apex of the food chain, and a lot of the people that were known as Mongols were really lots of other tribes, non-Mongolian tribes, that when the Mongols conquer you, after they killed a lot of you, they incorporated you into their confederacy. And often made you go first. You're going to fight somebody, we're going to make these people go out in front and suck up all the arrows before we go in and finish the job.